Hi everyone, it's Michele Place. I wanted to do a brief movement series today to help to alleviate discomfort in through the thoracic and lumbar spine. It is the distribution of movement through your spine. I have my spine here. It's the distribution of movement through your spine that distributes the forces that allows for greater ease of movement, more pain-free movement in through the low back and thoracic spine. So I would recommend doing some movement before working out or after a hard workout session to make sure that the distribution of forces is moving freely through your body and not being stuck in particular areas. We're going to be doing pelvic clocks. We'll be doing some knee drops. We'll be doing some hip circles, some rotation from the bottom up and top down. So if any of those aren't appropriate for your body, please leave them out. The movements are not being done with force. We're thinking about moving from our bones without a lot of muscle. Additionally, this series just allows for more movement in your home program, your outdoor program, whatever your thing is. So let's go ahead and get started. We will be starting on our back. You might have a pillow under your head, particularly when we go into sideline position, so you might have that available. Okay, let's get going. So lying on our backs, I'd like you to first do a sequential bridge up, noticing how your body moves. We want to notice how the things that are coming next are going to help this flow of movement. So starting with a gentle pelvic tilt, place your feet firmly onto the floor, reach your knees out, and just come up into a bridge. Inhale at the top and exhale, come down. Take your eyes away from me and just maybe close your eyes, drop into your body, and notice how your spine is moving. And once again, slowly, without force. You're not trying to push your body into change. You're noticing the quality of movement at this point in time. And down. The first thing we're going to be doing is pelvic clocks. This is a Feldenkrais technique. The pelvis, think of it as a bowl, and that there's a clock face on top of it facing the ceiling. 12 o'clock is at the navel, left hip is 3, pubic bone is 6, right hip is 9. Without creating force with your legs or your glutes, gently begin to take this clock, or I love to think of it as a bowl, and tilt the bowl up towards your navel. And then tilt the bowl down towards your tailbone. So think of the sacrum as the base of the bowl. Maybe you have your favorite soup in the bowl. Maybe you're gently mixing some paints, or you're pouring sand from one side of the bowl to the other. All these images are meant to help you to drop deeper into your body, to begin to feel the back body as you're moving. Because the body is connected, notice as you're moving whether the movement travels up from your pelvis through your spine to your head. As the tailbone goes down, you might feel the chin drops. And as the tailbone goes up, you might feel that the chin rises. Feel the tailbone movement. Feel the sacral movement. The lumbar spine. There are 7 lumbar vertebrae. Notice if you're holding tension anywhere in your body, and let this be just as easy as it can be. So just noticing how that feels in your body. Come back to level. We've got the 3 o'clock on the left hip, the 9 o'clock on the right hip. Let's keep our knees still for this next practice. We'll be pouring the contents of that bowl over to the 3 o'clock and back to center, and then over to the 9 o'clock. Instead of thinking of the rim of the bowl up by the hip bones, think about deep inside the pelvis where the contents of whatever you're pouring is spilling over to the 3 o'clock. And then feel that it slowly comes back to rest in the bottom of the bowl. And then over into the right, the 9 o'clock. Notice as you move from the 3, do you feel the pull over in the ribs on the opposite side, or the shoulder, or the neck? Take a nice deep breath and bring it back. And notice as you move to the 9, do you feel a connection, a pull, a drag up into the ribs, the shoulder, or the neck? Just noticing. Let's rest in the middle. Now let's go ahead and work at diagonals. So if the 12 o'clock is here, the 1 o'clock would be just slightly over from that. The diagonal of the 1 o'clock is down here at 7. So we're going to be creating a line from the 7 to the 1. As I move down towards the 7, I feel my sitting bone on that side dropping. And then I want to trace or imprint back up to about 1 o'clock. Take a nice deep breath. So you've heard the saying that the journey is not your end destination, right? So the journey is the movement. The focus is the movement from one point to the next. So take your time to feel the journey in between. Notice the organization. This pattern and the one that comes after it is the patterning that we use when we're walking. So the very important. So just notice, can you connect down into that 1 o'clock? Can you connect down towards that 7 o'clock? And then let's rest in the middle. Now let's do the opposite. So 12 o'clock is up here, right? We're going to go over to the 11 o'clock, and down at that diagonal would be 5. So I'm going to gently go from that 11 o'clock down to 5. My sitting bone widens. And then I'm going to gently feel that imprint. If I were in clay, I would be deepening a groove, or the idea of this weight down into clay, deepening down towards that 5 o'clock. Chin may drop a little bit, and then deepening up around 11 o'clock, and the chin might rise. You might feel a difference in this 11 to 5 versus the 1 to 7. And ponder how that might affect your walking. If one direction isn't moving as freely as the other, can definitely have an impact. Let's stop back in the center. And now let's work the whole clock. So you can think of this as a roulette table, and we're dropping that marble from 12 to 1 to 2 to 3 and so on and so forth. You could keep working with that idea of the contents of the bowl. So let's start up at 12. We roll the contents to towards the navel, over to 1, 2, 3, that left hip, 4, 5, 6. Notice if you're gripping any muscles, try to stay as relaxed as possible, and with your imagery. Body really responds to the imagery. Your circular motion could be as small as your sacrum, right, which would be about like this, or it could be as wide as your pelvis. I like to start with the movement a little bit smaller and move out from there. you might close your eyes and just feel how you're guiding what is in the pelvic bowl around. If you had a swimming pool when you were growing up, we called it a doughboy, and we'd run around in the perimeter of the pool and create this whirlpool motion, which would all carry us in the current. Let's go ahead and reverse that circle if you haven't already. So you can sort of think about how that water would be swirling around the circle, that doughboy pool. And why a doughboy? Oh, make sure you're breathing. Again, you might notice your head movement. If your spine's really relaxed and connected and moving freely, you might notice that your head is moving the opposite of your pelvis. And let's go ahead and come back to rest. So we started with a bridge. Let's do another bridge and let's see how that movement feels, particularly through that lumbar and that thoracolumbar junction. Again, standing firmly into the feet, start to pour everything up towards your navel. Do you feel a little more ease or movement in through this? Take a nice breath in. And as you exhale, feel the ribs come up under the heart. The back ribs drop down and the ribs in the front come up under the heart. Focusing on that can create a little more mobility right at that juncture. Let's try that again. Inhale to prepare, exhale back up. Again, using the bones as the initiation point. We're trying to distribute the movement, distribute the forces along the entire length of the spine. Inhale to prepare, and then exhale, come back down. Notice if there are any points that might feel a little stuck, like they still need a little more differentiation. I'm going to show you the spine again. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be bridging up, and then we're going to anchor the spine at one point. It'll probably be around your shoulder blades. And then from there, we're going to be moving the segments below it from side to side. Like one of those little hoverboards that kids have, or typewriter return carriage. So if I'm anchored here, I'm going to be moving the rest of my body from side to side. And so the goal is to create some differentiation between the vertebra, right, in the back. Please don't force it. Let's go ahead once again, and we're going to bridge up to the height that feels comfortable for you. So notice where you're anchored. So I'm right around the middle of the shoulder blades. Get a little heavier here. I'm going to widen my feet, and I'm going to then try to keep this point anchored as I'm moving from side to side. So the point right below where I'm stabilizing, I'm initiating the movement. My hips are moving, my knees are moving. I'm trying not to rotate. I'm trying not to hike, just side to side. Come down another vertebra or two. I'm moving gently into a pelvic tilt. I'm a little lower on my spine now. And again, side to side. The challenge is finding that segment just below where you're anchored. That can be a challenge. But this gets easier. Notice whether you're moving further to the right or to the left. That's important information. And come down another vertebra or two. This kind of reminds me of a bear trying to rub its back up against a tree. Again, moving from side to side. I like to now put my hands on my hips and notice if I am hiking, right? So try to really keep the hips level. There tends to be one side that will hike up a bit. And lower down again. I'm right around the top of that lumbar spine. Someone asked me the other day, they said their butt was really hanging on the ground. So you can also do this with your feet on an ottoman, and it just gives you a little more space to move through your spine. And then come all the way down, please. Rest your hands, feet back into position. And then once again, very slowly, please bridge up through your spine. And notice once again, if maybe you feel there's a little more even distribution, right, of movement and the forces through your spine. Very nice job. Let's go ahead and bring the feet a little bit closer together. From here, we're going to drop the knees over to the side. So my knees are going right. Notice how it's beginning to pull my ribs off the floor. As I exhale, I'm going to gently try to anchor back into this left side to bring my legs back. I'm going to drop my legs over. And then from here, my legs are going left, and I'm going to use the right side of my spine and my ribs and into my right lung and internal organs to try to bring my legs back. So this is rotation from the bottom up. Inhale into your left rib cage as your legs go right. Exhale, gently bringing weight into the trunk of the body. So there is definitely some core happening here to make that happen. Inhale over to the side. Try to not let the shoulder come up. Eyes are up, neck, jaws relaxed. And as you exhale, feel the sternum get a little heavier, the ribs get a little heavier to bring the legs back. Let's do that one more time. Over to the right. Inhaling into the left side. And as you exhale, try to draw that left side down to bring the knees back to center. My legs almost weightless. One more time over to the left. And exhale, bringing the legs back. So make sure your body's comfortable with these movements, particularly if you have SI joint issues. From here, let's go ahead and bring the legs up. Hold on to the legs. You might kick them out a little bit if your hamstrings are feeling like they need a stretch. And from here, just circle the legs around a bit. What I'd like you to do is think about the thigh bones sinking down into the hip socket as much as it can. So find a position where your legs really feel supported. And the weight of the leg muscles can relax, and the weight of the leg can fall back into the hip socket. If you feel some sort of ratcheting or popping, it may be that the muscles are trying to continue to work. Let's reverse that. And again, we've got a little bit of that movement of rotation from the bottom up. Notice how the movement travels up the entire body. From here, we're going to roll over onto the side, and I would like you to have a pillow under your head. I've got a yoga block here. You can use that. And then from here, the knees are up at about hip height. The arms are out in front. We're going to create rotation from the top down. The thoracic spine, when tight, puts more movement into the lumbar spine. So it's important that we try to restore as much mobility as is comfortable for our body, keeping it nice and mobile here. So we did the bottom up from the lumbar. We're doing the top down through the thoracic. I'm going to open this arm up towards the ceiling. And as I do, make sure if you're on a block, make sure it's positioned back enough so your head doesn't fall off. And then I'm just rotating, not forcing it. Just notice how far it goes. Knees are staying together. And then come back. I'm going to guide you into a breath pattern and a bone rhythm. Bring your arm up. My right arm is coming up. As I inhale, I'm going to focus on my left lung and rib cage coming up and around. And then as I exhale again, I'm going to focus on that left rib cage, bringing me back. So again, sweeping that arm up, inhale into the left lung and rib cage, which is your lower side. And then visualize that air leaving that left lung, the left rib cage rotated back around. And one more time, try to keep your chin in alignment with your sternum. Nice and relaxed. Good, and then coming back. Nice work. And let's do the other side. Just so you can see my back body, I'm going to turn away from you here. So line on the right side. And sweeping that top arm up, it's now the left arm. Keep the knees together, please. Fill your right rib cage up from the lung there. And then exhale, come back. Remember, we're not creating a lot of force here. Inhale. Think about that right rib cage coming up and over with that left arm and coming back. We are trying to keep this movement in the thoracic spine. It's also in the neck. So try not to go so far that you're cranking into that lumbar spine. And back. Good. Let's go one more. Let's do one more here. Inhaling into that right lung, bringing that right rib cage up and over. And then back to center. Nice work. Let's remove the block or your pillow. And let's come over onto the back once again. So we've done pelvic clocks in a variety of movements. We've done some mobilization of the spine, and we've done rotation from the bottom up and the top down. Let's try our bridge again and see how it feels. Hands by your sides, rest for a moment, feel the weight of your body. Standing into your feet. Slowly focus on your tailbone and slowly begin to pour the contents of your pelvis up towards your navel. And then towards the ribs. And then up towards the heart. And in towards the shoulder blade area. And then slowly come down. Remember those front ribs pull up under, down and up under the heart. Lengthening the spine and resting. I hope that felt better to you, that your movement felt a little freer. We could go on and on, of course, but I just wanted this to be just a short little segment for you. Clocks are incredible for relieving low back pain. They can also make you a little sleepy if you drop into that parasympathetic system. I hope you have a good rest of your day. I look forward to seeing you next time. And for now, Michelle and her buddy, over and out.